Leo, Sun, Moon, or Rising, May 2023. Leo, this month starts with an eclipse in your fourth house around the 5th or 6th of May. And this eclipse, you might feel it more if you're Leo born in the middle degrees, 13, 14, 15, 16 degrees up to 17th, because it will square your sign. But it's focused predominantly in your fourth house and the 10th house, because the sun, of course, is in the 10th house there with the north node, and the moon is with the south node here, and Uranus as well. So there might be some sudden changes on this axis of home and career for some of you. It doesn't always work like that. It doesn't mean, oh, Leos might be changing home or career now, but especially those degrees that are more activated, they might feel it. Or if you have your midheaven or fourth house cusp around the 14, 15 degree of Scorpio or Taurus. Again, if you want to find this out, the personal transit calendar will show you if this eclipse specifically activates you. If you want to use it, I'm putting a link below this video to go to my personal transit calendar that I've developed for free for you. Well, what does it mean, this eclipse in the fourth house for some of you? It can be some endings, because this eclipse is a bit about putting an end to something. Full moon is something coming to an end, completing with the south node to complete, maybe ending a place of living or ending some project at home. You've been doing something, building, whatever. It's coming to an end over the next 1-2 months. Or there might be ending of a relationship, or parent, saying goodbye to a parent in extreme cases, because Scorpio is involved. Sometimes eclipses in the fourth house, especially if it's on the cusp of the fourth house, for some of you can be saying goodbye to a parent, or just saying enough, my family is toxic, I'm moving away from them. Or doesn't have to be toxic, like, oh, I've lived enough in this state, or doesn't even have to be family, I've lived enough here, it's time for me to move on. So over the next 2-3 months, some of you might have like ending of one place and a new place coming, saying goodbye to a place. But the south node is also the past, and fourth house is the roots as well. And eclipse there can be something important, finding out some important secret, or reconnecting to your roots, to your past, to your country of origin, or some secret about your family or extended family that comes out of the closet. And that helps you resolve a psychological trauma, that helps you resolve certain patterns that have been repeating in your life, and you suddenly realize that it's due to ancestral karma, to ancestral pattern. So they can be unraveling of family karma. They can be releasing of family karma as well, something that you've been tied to, something that you've carried around, or maybe some trauma that happened to you in early childhood, which is the house of the fourth house, due to nurturing or due to a parent or whatever circumstances that you've been carrying. And the south node eclipse allows you to excrete it, to release it. It can be a bit of a psychologically intense time, emotionally kind of triggering and emotionally extreme, but this release can be volcanic sometimes, but the ultimate result is healing. This release of feelings can be facilitated by psychologists, or it can be spontaneous. I cannot tell you how it will happen, or it might be triggered by a communication with a family member, or just spontaneous realization and deciding to cut connections with certain family patterns. Like, things have been, till now everyone's been getting divorced in your family, you say enough, I'm not going to carry on this. Or everyone's been obese in your family or has diabetes, and you're like, enough, I'm stopping this karma now. And taking more releasing. Of course, the Scorpio energy is very much about releasing with the south node. But something will change in your psychological and emotional attachments to family members, or situation in your family. Sometimes something around the circumstances in your family can change. Buy a house, sell a house, family member, new coming, old, old going, new coming. Or it can be some psychological release of the past as well, and just remembering memories from the past that become clear, and finding out something about your family. But of course, this eclipse also affects the 10th house, so there can be some important developments with your career there, and you'll see this month is very much about this axis of family and home and the world. And some of the most other important events are definitely happening there in the 10th house. And on the 14th, Mercury is turning direct in your 10th house. Actually, it's retrograde till the middle of the month, which means that some of you might be rethinking their career. Some of you might be like, is this the right way for me to carry on? And especially if you're not in the right career, you'll become aware of certain facts and circumstances that or something like it keeps being blocked, or something gets brought up in a conversation that makes you realize that you're not in the right career, makes you realize that there is other options as well. Maybe Mercury retrograde helps you explore other options about your career and your world in society, because retrograde Mercury wants to see things from a different perspective. So maybe it's time now to exactly that's what you're doing this month till the middle. Or if you're in the right career, you just there's maybe some need to adapt there because there's some changes happening, need to learn something extra, to do some extra efforts to redo a career project, or to use your mental skills with 3 times more effort, for example. And that might mean that you're putting 3 times more efforts in working on something, 3 times more efforts on writing, speaking, communicating, or changing something there, the routines at your work environment, or that something is changing in the that you have to put extra efforts. And even if it's complicated or delayed or blocked, when Mercury turns direct after the 14th of May, you start seeing the good results of those extra efforts, and you start seeing that, oh, it's great that this problem happened, I fixed it now and I'm at a much better position. Or, oh, look at that, I've shifted something here with my career and so much better now. For someone else, it can mean the coming back from a new old work opportunity or old work project during Mercury retrograde that you pick up on and start doing it again. But again, if there's any problems or complications with authority figures, with bosses, in communications with parental figures as well, while Mercury is retrograde, once it turns direct, everything comes back to normal, things are fixed. Unless during the retrograde period you took the decision that, okay, this situation is not sustainable, I'm not getting along with my bosses, this is not the right career, this is not the right project, I'm done with it. Sometimes the retrograde period might have been just to realize that it's not for you, because you see it from a different perspective. But if it was just to correct it and make it better, when it turns direct, after the stresses of the extra efforts and after the stresses of the correcting of the problems, things starts moving even better than before. And sometimes I've seen that someone just has very mercurial work around that time, that they have to put a lot of efforts, like writing, speaking, communicating, negotiating, administrative work, emails, whatever. And when reports, sales, I don't know, and they're redoing it, they're putting the extra effort, and then Mercury turns direct, and they see the results of it, and things are not so stressful anymore, they're more relaxed, they're completing it. Then the other big event, guys, Leos, is that Jupiter will move on the 16th from your 9th house to your 10th house for the first time in 12 years. So May the 16th till May 2024, for 1 year, Jupiter, the planet of growth, of opportunities, will be in your 10th house, the most visible house. Especially if your midheaven is there can be a big promotion. But even if it's just the 10th sign from your sun, you can start hoping and dreaming bigger about your career over the next 12 months. There can come a career opportunity for you, a new, better job, or more authority, or more responsibilities. Jupiter can just expand the responsibilities in your life. And it can give you more confidence to take executive decisions. I've even seen it sometimes for people who are unemployed. Jupiter enters their 10th sign from the sun or from the ascendant, and they become more confident with their worldly actions. They become more confident going after things they want, But usually, if you want to make an impact on in the world, if you're such a person that goes after career, this is a time when you can really do big strides in that direction. Like sometimes I've seen people do an internship or whatever that takes them in the right direction, or if you've studied something while Jupiter is in your ninth house, now you can incorporate it in your career to expand it, to make it more all-embracing, and your reputation can improve as well over the next 12 months. Interesting for me, I've noticed, especially from the Ascendant Jupiter in the 10th house, and Trifon also noticed it, and you will not read it anywhere in Western astrology, pregnancies and children. Jupiter rules children, and this is an angular house, and it's pivotal house there. He always said when there was something being born, like baby kittens or friends having babies, whatever, his 10th house would be activated. And I remember my Jupiter was in my 10th house when I gave birth to my daughter as well. So just throwing this out for some of you. Your status can improve, you can become more visible. I remember I had amazing success with my career when Jupiter was in the 10th house. I was loving it. I gave birth, and next day I was doing video, and I was full of ideas what to do. And I was like, you know, go, go, go. It's exciting. As well, some boss figure can appear in your life. Jupiter, that is benefactory, a bit overwhelming, of course. Jupiter is a huge planet. Can be larger than life, but someone who believes in you, who pushes you. Also, hopefully it can improve relationships with father figures or authority figures, boss figures, or even you can ask for some help from institutions, organizations, governments. Governments can do something that is in help for you as well. But usually that is just an angular house. When it's triggered, even though it's going to square the sun in Leo, it still feels expansive as opportunity for growth. When I had Jupiter in the 10th house from the 10th sign from my sun, so if your sun is in Leo, my business was growing and it was doing really well, and I was very visible figure. That was, it's, you know, there are always ups and downs and slumps, but definitely Jupiter in the 10th from Sun and in the 10th from Ascendant were powerful times of growth. Or if you don't have a career, you can figure out what you want to do. Jupiter can definitely bring, if you've been stay-at-home mom, now it can be time that you start working again, for example, or find something that even if it's not about working, to contribute to the world that you find meaningful, because the 10th house is our worldly actions. What can we contribute to the world, and so on. And also something new opportunities can come in your career, which you, if you implement, to learn for knowledge. So if there is any Jupiter is planet of knowledge, any possibility to study something, to learn, that will expand your outreach in the world and your influence and impact on others. Jupiter rules your 5th house, goes into the 10th house. That's interesting. The 5th house is the 8th from the 10th. When the ruler of the 5th gets there, this can be a time when 8th house is the death of something and the rebirth of something new. So it can be the death of one career and the rebirth of a new one as well. Like a crisis in a certain career, which puts you on a new career path. That's interesting. Oh, you can incorporate, let's take the 5th house energy, you can incorporate, wow, I'm Leo Moon as well. What am I talking about? That's great for me. I forgot I was Leo Moon. Yes, I'm excited. A bit more career visibility. Let's see if it works from the moon. I'll tell you in 1 year as well. So the ruler of the 5th going into the 10th can mean putting more creativity into your career. And 5th house is a very joyful house where you have more autonomy to decide to take again decisions that are your own, creative, original. So you somehow can incorporate into your career this kind of 5th house energy of more fun, joy, creativity, where you have to brainstorm and your own ideas that you can implement. And Jupiter also rules our 8th house. Oh, interesting. Again, another 8th house theme. There is again this theme of 8th house is something to change suddenly, connected to the career. So your social status, I think it can grow suddenly, you know, but also 8th house has a bit of a theme of crisis that can come, and that crisis to transform somehow. The 8th house is transformational, to transform your career. The 10th house is the father, connected to the 8th house of transformations and crisis or death. I hope not, but you know, just throwing out ideas there. Or for some of you, it can be very good for career, connected to the 8th house or 5th house. Creativity, children, 5th house, education. It's wonderful for such things. Creative careers or 8th house careers. Astrology, the occult, emergency, anything to do with psychology, anything to do with life and death situations, anything to do with other people's resources and money that you can put in your career, or stock market and investments as well. Can be important developments there for you. Okay, is that it? No, Mars is entering. So we talked that the 4th house can be activated. This 10th house is very important. So whatever you've been editing there, after the 14th, it starts running smoothly. If there were some delays at the work project, then Jupiter comes there, sorts out everything with your career, starts moving really good and smooth with prospects and opportunities. And last but not least, Mars enters your sign, our sign, from the 20th of May and will stay there till the end of July. Sorry, till the end of June, so for a month and a half. This is big. Mars enters our sign once every 2.5 years. So it will rejuvenate us. I think this month is very visible for you with so many planets in the 10th house. You're up there, you're doing things, you're productive, you're proactive, you're getting things done, you're using your willpower. But when Mars enters your sign, even more you feel empowered with willpower. And if there were things that were undermining your willpower till then, with Mars in the 12th house, so if you were fighting with your inner demons, the battle comes out from the subconscious, comes very much front, gives you the upper hand, the will, if you're fighting with some inner demons or with some secret enemies as well. The 12th house rules enemies, someone, either your own inner demons that are trying to undermine you and self-sabotage you, or other people that are, you know, things that, or they necessarily doesn't know, it can be someone, you know, that some animosity ends with someone, or someone who's been trying to undermine you, it ends after that. But if you've been trying to do things and it feels like it's out of your reach, or it feels like you're throwing things down the drain, or your efforts are being wasted in the wind, well, when Mars enters into your 1st house from the 20th, definitely you'd feel a lot more in control of your own actions. And Mars rules your 4th house, and Mars rules your 9th house. So Mars actually is a very good planet for Leos because it rules 2 fortunate houses, angular and trinal house. It becomes Raj planet, Raj Yoga planet, planet of, even though it's Mars, it becomes a lucky planet for you. Entering your sign, this activates the luck for you for a month and a half. It energizes you, especially to pursue with vigor your ideals, to travel as well, the rule of the 9th and the 1st, to study something, to teach higher knowledge, to fight for what you believe, making you more noble as well, for your vision, and making you more initiative, definitely. To have 9 houses inspirations, 4th angular house, Mars is also a rule of an angular house, is action. So going after your inspirations, acting on your inspirations. Not just many people have a good idea and don't do anything about it. Well, you're having a temporary combination of having a good idea and acting on it. Not just leaving it there, you know. Of course, you can become a bit abrasive. People can find you a bit obnoxious with Mars in your 1st house. I know, you know, like Donald Trump is Leo with Mars in the 1st house in Leo, and he comes off very abrasive. I mean, people love him, people hate him, but his manner is not easy, you know. So you might feel a little bit like that, but sometimes it works for your best, because Mars is a good planet for you. To be more pushy, to be more, to tell things as they are, to speak your truth, and you'll be saying it, and actually you'll benefit from it. Well, Mars also rules your 4th house. Being in the 1st house, you can be active, something to do with family as well. Again, we see this theme You can be very active, but in a lucky way, because Mars is also the rule of the ninth house, with property, with doing something together with the family that feels joyful, excitable, such activities after the 20th of May. But of course, you have to be a bit careful for accidents and arguments and fighting with others, because after all, it is Mars, and that might be fighting with family a little bit more, because it's the rule of the fourth house, and fighting about your beliefs because you're just pushing them in other people's faces. But you look confident after the 20th, you sound confident, you act on things more, you get things done. Just be careful for accidents, injuries, and such kind of stuff. So thank you so much, and yeah, see you next month.